My name is Haley.
I'm Tatum.
I'm Logan.
I'm Leo.
I'm Brooklyn.
We're doing the Monkey's Paw. For Monkey's Paw, there are 5 characters. We have the man with the monkey paw, Sergeant Major Morris, and that's played by Brooklyn. Mr. White is played by Logan. His wife, Mrs. White's played by Tatum. His son, Herbert's played by Leo. And our stranger from Ma and Megan's is also played by Brooklyn. Costume-wise, we have Major Morris as a large burly man. He's worn like a military uniform. He's got a very disheveled look. Mr. White is a little old farm man. He's retired with plaid button-up jeans and a farm look. Mrs. White is a littler prairie wife type. Wife on the prairie, simple dress and an apron. Herbert is broader, the taller, gentle young man. He has a similar costume to Mr. White, but maybe like corduroy pants or a brighter plaid to show he's younger. Ideally, we'd cast Mr. White as somebody much older. And our stranger is timid, maybe smaller, skinny young man, and he's in like a jumpsuit type thing, like a work suit. It's blue, and it says Ma and Megan's, and he's a little scruffy. Prop-wise, we have a monkey's paw, chessboard, knitting needles and yarn, our side table and chairs, Monopoly money, blanket, old man cane, bowl, plate, apron, and a magazine. So our story opens up with them in the parlor. They're pretty poor, so it's kind of falling apart. There's wallpaper that's peeling that shows a bare wood wall behind, and the family is sitting by a fire with dim lighting. The father and son are playing chess on stage right, and Mrs. White is knitting on stage left.
That's me.
It's terrible living so far out. I don't know what people are thinking about because only 2 houses are rented and no one cares about us.
Never mind, dear. You'll win the next chess game.
Ah, there he is.
Mr. White will get up to exit the room and exit stage, then re-enters with a man with something in his hand. Mr. White introduces Sergeant Major Morris. They'll shake hands and take a seat. After drinking a glass of whiskey, Mr. Sergeant Major Morris will get more comfortable.
21 years in war and he traveled all the way to India. I'd like to see India someday. Speaking of, what was that thing you were talking with me about the other day? Something about a monkey's paw?
Oh, nothing worth talking about.
Monkey's paw.
Just something you might call magic, perhaps.
But what's so special about it?
An old man wanted to prove that fate ruled people's lives, so he put a spell so that 3 separate men could have 3 separate wishes from it. I've already used my 3 wishes, and I don't know if I would again. Might as well let it burn.
Whoa now, if you don't want it, I'll take it.
I won't. Be sensible and pitch it in the fire.
How do you do it?
Hold it up with your right hand and wish out loud, but I warn you the consequences.
This leads us to our opening number, and there's going to be a fog machine to make the stage misty and mysterious. There's going to be like a treadmill thing in the middle of the stage to make it look like Sergeant Major is walking.
I've been using Grammarly
The
for
rest of the
years.
stage
Now, the
is
great thing
blue.
is Grammarly is
And yeah, the family is like sitting still, and they have lines later during our dance scene. They'll get up and start dancing, and I'll tell you when that is. The music will start, and Mr. White will go to make a silly wish, but Morris will stop him.
I come tonight, what a stormy fright. I carry a thing of doom. The burden is plenty, the wish is risky. It's petrifying, but hey, it's a chance. When you hold it tight and think with your might, the stars align just right. Here you go. Puppy Morris, it's another dystopian tale.
Here's where our dance scene is. It's very mystical and like very flowy. The family's dancing. That's what Leah's doing. They'll be good dancers. They're still in the light though.
As you go through your days, tugging songs from your heart, you won't know what hit you at all. Go out on a whim, you'll pay for your sin, for your greed will doom you all. Oh, time that will pass as you say, for you ask in the pace of you peer. It's dystopian truths. More often than not, you'll get yourself caught in a lot of bad ways. Dystopian tales make dystopian dreams. This mystical hand of magic demands much more than it seems. So you just wish on this Baba, be careful your words, though the power your wishing commands. While the darkness unfolds, we'll find fortunes untold, 'cause destiny lies in your hands.
Only 3 wishes you got.
The dice are in your corner. Please just take it from me.
Yeah, Dad. Take it.
Dystopian tales, yes, dystopian truths. They seem to delight, but beware the fright. Tools for the fools. Dystopian tales need dystopian views. A fool off his guard could fall and fall hard when you wish for the truth.
The music will fade and Sergeant Major will exit the stage. You're still in the parlor, the family's in the same clothes.
Well, it's yours now. What do we wish for?
We're going to be rich and famous and happy. I could be an emperor. What should I wish for first? Seems to me that I got all I want.
Well, wish for 200 pounds, and that would just do it.
I can wish for anything I want.
Mrs. White has a song here, like I'm not sure about the monkey's paw. This is the song that our reprise will reprise off of. It is in pled the next day. It is the next day and the family of 3 is sitting at the table eating breakfast. They're in similar costumes, just not exactly the same clothes.
You should listen to Sergeant Morris and be careful with that paw. You know,
The sergeant got his 3 wishes. It's our turn.
This leads us to our One I Wish. It's a big kind of lavish number with backup dancers that are in like very lavish clothing. We'll use projection to make it seem more lavish and like he's in a rich palace. But by the end of the song, then the projection goes away.
Don't skip that ad in the next.
Yeah.
That's what the projection will look like. Mr. Wright will dance around and get a crown as a bowl and a blanket as like a cape. He also has an old man cape.
I'm gonna be mighty rich, the renter shall beware.
well, I've never seen a leader achieve at quite so bitter age.
I'm gonna be the main event with 200 pounds and more. I'm paying up my house in loans, thank you, smelly paw.
It's rather an uninspiring thing.
Oh, I just can't wait to be rich.
You have to respect the paw, my dearest, if you think.
No one's saying.
Wish this.
No, when I said that.
No one's saying.
What I meant was.
No one's saying.
Wish that.
No one's saying.
Pay
here.
On figure.
Free to spend money all day.
Well, that's definitely out.
Free to spend it all my way.
I think it's time that you and I arrange a good long talk.
Rich don't need to talk about all their cash for a start.
If this is where your mind is headed, count me out. I'm done cleaning, I'm done cooking, I won't stay around. This paw is doing magic to you.
Oh, I just can't wait to be rich.
During this little music monologue, little thing, Mrs. White's gonna chase Mr. White around and Mr. White's oblivious to it while the background dancers are doing their little dance. And he takes her blanket and pulled away.
Everywhere you look, you'll have money all
This is where the
around.
fake money comes in.
Now what?
Let every person sing it loud and clear. Let it rain for each and every day.
It's gonna be Mr. White's finest fling.
Oh, I just can't wait to be rich.
Oh, he can't just wait to be rich.
Oh, I just can't wait to be rich. Yeah.
The projection will go and the lights will fade on to the next day. They're in the kitchen. There's same costumes for Mr. and Mrs. White, like similar. Herbert will be in like that factory type jumpsuit that says Ma and Megan's on it, and it takes place at their kitchen table.
Foolish of us to listen to some old soldier. Just some fake folklore.
Maybe it'll fall from the sky.
Morris said things happen so naturally that it might seem coincidence when it happens.
Try not to come into money before I get back. Can't have you turning you into an old man. We'll have you disown you for that.
Mrs. White will walk him off stage and we'll watch him leave. And she'll come back and sit down again. We will have a scene here at Herbert's work and he'll have a song about how he feels about the monkey's paw. He has mixed feelings about the paw. As he's like singing and dancing around, he'll get caught in machinery and that's how he gets hurt and killed. The lights will fade and they'll come back when it's nighttime. They're in the same clothes, but Mrs. White has an apron and a magazine. We'll use cool lights and a lamp on stage to symbolize that it's the evening, and the stranger that will come in will be in the same outfit as as Herbert.
I'm sure Herbert will have some more funny remarks when he gets home.
I dare say, but if anything, that thing moved in my hand. I'll swear to that.
You thought it did.
Something catches Mrs. White's eye out the window.
I say it did.
Mr. White will notice his wife's distraction.
What's the matter?
Well, there's a peculiar man outside, and he seems to be trying to decide if he wants to come in, but we'll just have to wait and see.
At that, the man decides to go through the gate, and Mrs. White gets up and puts her magazine under the chair and ties her apron on the way to the door. She'll open the door just before he can knock.
Come on in.
I was asked to call. I come from Ma and Megan's.
Is it Herbert? Is anything the matter? What's wrong?
Now, calm down. I'm sure he doesn't come with bad news. Let's hear him out.
I'm sorry. He got badly hurt, but he's not in any pain. He was caught in machinery.
He was our only one.
Ma and Megan's disclaim any responsibility, but they wish to offer some money as compensation for the funeral funds.
How much?
200 pounds.
Mr. White will turn to Mrs. White. The stranger will walk away after handing White's 200 pounds. We have a song here where Mr. White is like, I regret this, and he exits, and he'll sing with Mrs. White during our 11 o'clock, which is the next song.
Interested in modeling and acting?
Our 11 o'clock is, there's a dark curtain that will come down and divide the stage in half horizontally, so all of the ballerinas and Mrs. White happen in front of the curtain. In the back of the curtain there is a funeral set piece that will be moved on, a casket, a stand for them to speak, and chairs for the funeral goers. There will also be a trapdoor that will be set in front of the casket so they can drop it down. It will be a closed casket. There will be a chair like the ones for the funeral goers and the front side of the curtain for Mrs. White to sit down in. And Mrs. White is in like a whitish dress, and the ballerinas are in white ballerina, like angel. They're supposed to be angels, and they'll be like professional ballerinas.
Our son is dead. his empty bed, all in my head. We're grieving, he's dead. Was it my fault? Wish on the paw, I dropped my jaw. Why did he have to go? Marvin Megan's no.
We'll have an instrumental break here where the angel ballerinas, it's very dramatic dancing to portray the mood. The ballerinas dancing around her. Mrs. White is sitting in a chair silently crying, and the curtain will come up, and Mr. White will join her, and he's also grieving. He is in black funeral clothes though.
Son's
Dead.
Dead.
It was our fault.
The curtain's still up, and the ballerinas will do a little spin, and their angel-like costumes will turn into black funeral clothes, and they'll take a seat. One of them will grab Mrs. White's chair. Mrs. White will also do a little spin, and her dress will turn into a black dress, and Mr. White will escort her through the funeral. Here is where the funeral scene will take place. Mrs. White will give a heartfelt speech about her son, and a couple other people will speak, and then they will drop his closed casket through a trapdoor in the stage. And then Mr. and Mrs. White will make their way home. This takes place in their bedroom, but they're still in the same funeral clothes.
Our son is past. But we must move on now.
Here's where our reprise will take place. It takes place in their bedroom where Mr. White is sitting and Mrs. White is standing. It starts with her facing the crowd and singing to the crowd. There will be a spotlight on her, and the rest of the stage will be washed out in kind of like a blue light. It'll be dark enough that you can make out shadows, but it won't completely wash it out. When she is singing to the crowd, the spotlight will just be on her. When she is singing to Mr. White, it'll be in both. Both of them will be in the spotlight.
Don't understand, he was all I had. Loved him with all my heart, loved him with all my mind. And he was always so perfect, and now he's gone forever. But you could wish him back, you'd always use that monkey's paw.
This will be sung to Mr. White, this next part.
Oh, do you think you could wish him back? Don't you want to see our son again? Just grab the monkey's paw, just make my wish come true. You still have 2 wishes left, here's the one for our only son. 'Cause I don't think I can live without him for another minute. All I want is to see your son. Some others love too much to ask. Can you please wish him back? All I want is our beloved son. My expectations far too high. Try my best, but what can I say? 'Cause all I want is to see your son forever. Isn't that such a simple wish?
That's where the song will end. The lights will go back. That's where the song will end. The lights will go back to normal, and the spotlight will be off, and the blue will go away. They're still in their bedroom and still in the same outfits.
Dear, I know he's the last of our children to finally go, but I don't think
The
we
paw! Go get that wretched monkey's paw.
I know how much Herbert meant to you. He meant a lot to me too. He was our last son.
Well, we can bring him back. You only made one wish, and we can still use the second wish to bring Herbert back. Just go to the parlor and grab the monkey's paw, and our wish will come true.
Have you gone mad? Was my first wish not enough for you?
No! Nothing will ever be enough for me. I need Herbert to be here. I don't think I can ever go on. I need him to be with me forever.
The lights will go out and Mr. and Mrs. White will come forward and there will be a spotlight on them in front stage as we transition to the parlor.
He's been dead for 10 days. If it wasn't for his clothes, I wouldn't have recognized him. What do we do when he's too terrible for you to see?
Bring him back. I can never fear my own child.
The lights will come up and spot out. They're in the parlor now.
Wish.
This is wicked and foolish.
Wish.
I wish my son to be alive.
They fall silent and they sit down as Mr. White sits down as Mrs. White went and opened the blinds to their window. After some time, there's a slight knock on the door.
What's that?
It wasn't anything.
It's Herbert.
Mr. White grabs her to keep her from letting the thing inside. He knows it won't really be their son. Here's where our finale is. They're in the same costume. All of it takes part in the parlor. As the song transitions, though, the parlor furniture will come off and there will be a door on center stage to represent like their front door. We'll have background dancers and they're in Ma and Megan's outfits.
Herbert's out the door. I am running to the pot to hoe. She'll get out of depression, but we ugly and messy, and it's making me lose control.
Make the wish and kill the sun.
If Herbert died of machinery, then he looks scary.
Don't be scared.
How? Our son will be shredded, mangled, entangled.
Not another wish.
Someday I want this monkey's paw gone.
No, 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 no.
I want my son to go.
It's better by far to keep things as they are.
Our son's got to go, go, go. I want my son to go. Look at the paw and what do you see? One more wish do I dare? But my wife is aching and my son is lurking. It's a wish I need to make.
Grab the paw and make the wish.
I shouldn't have been so greedy. I was happy, fulfilled, and had my son. Was the money worth it?
No, 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 no.
Our son's to go.
It's better by far to keep things as they are.
Our son's got to go, go, go. I want my son to go.
By this part, the door's on and all the furniture's on.
Listen well, wish ready to tell about the final wish and then goodbye. There's no explanation, I can tell her to change it, but I'm ready, it's now or it's time.
I'll make the wish and I'll be heard.
Alright, every time I make a wish, I get karma.
He's knocking at the door.
Don't let him in.
Why?
It's going to bring us no good.
Wish
Wish
the sun
away.
away.
Don't you hear the
That's
knocking?
just a rat.
No, 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 no.
Knocks at the door, our foe.
Don't unlock the door.
Keep our son outside.
Don't unlock the door.
Our son's got to go.
During this instrumental break, we won't have any lyrics here. Mr. and Mrs. White will be battling to get to the door, and he's trying to like hold her back. And the Ma and Megan's people are like doing like very hip hoppy dancing.
This is not what I want. This is not what I planned. If I knew the outcome, I wouldn't take it from the old man. Something is weird
Something's not right.
Slightly wrong, and we have to get things back when our son was gone.
Life will be ruined. Got a wish. Last wish will be worth it. Should we through it? Wish the sun away.
He has got to go. I can do it.
Wish the sun away. Not another knock. Not another knock.
No.
Not another knock.
No. The tree is now quiet.
He finds the monkey paw and makes a silent wish. The door will fly open. And there is nothing on the other side. He stands by Mrs. White, who's crying on the floor, and the lights will fade at the end. This is the projection we'll have at the end. It'll be like you can see it through the door when the door opens. And that's the end.
Thank you. Yes.